We are live.
We are live.
Streaming live on Facebook. All right.
Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix with my buddy, my co-host, and my coach, Mark Brown. Hey there, Mark Brown. How are you doing today?
So far, so blessed, man. Good to see you, Darren, on a Friday morning for you, afternoon for me here in Georgia.
Awesome. Hey, Mark, one of the biggest revelations I ever had in my life was working with you. And those of people who are watching the Facebook Live, back in 2001, I thought I was pretty good. I thought I was passionate. I was animated. I was a lot of things. I just wasn't good because I wasn't nervous. Something was happening between my lips and their ears because it was very clear to me. For those of you who don't know the story, before the Toastmasters World Championship, I met Mark about 77 days before the speech contest. And I thought if he could just give me a few little tweaks, then I would be amazing. Because I was the king of my club back then. You know, no one could give me feedback. So I was so excited. Mark gave me some direction, and I wrote out the first version of the speech. I drove 2.5 hours to New York, Reader's Digest, to work with Mark, my coach. And I was so thrilled. And I didn't want him to see the speech ahead of time because I wanted to see the joy on his face when he helped and saw how amazing I was and how much potential I had. And as I handed Mark the speech, and if you don't know, Mark Brown stands about 6'2", is a native of Jamaica, beautiful booming voice and laugh like the guy from the old 7-Up commercial. And Mark just had a heart of gold. He was so kind. As I handed him my speech, I thought it was so good. You could hear choirs of angels. Mark took the speech. Oh, Darren, we have some work to do. Mark Brown, what did you see in 2 minutes that I couldn't see after 7 years? People watching this, most of them are probably presenters. And as a coach, what do you look for? How do you see things that I couldn't see after 7 years working really hard? Mark Brown.
Well, you know, sometimes we work hard at mediocre things. And we are so close to what we have written, we don't realize the potential to improve it. For example, we may have a story we want to tell, and it's our story, we like it, and we tell it the way we think it should be told, but we don't realize there's power in word selection. There's power in painting word pictures. There's power in giving the audience a chance to not only hear your words, but to see your words, and even more importantly, to experience your words. So when you construct a sentence and tell a story, you have to ask yourself, what's the audience not only hearing? What are they seeing? What are they feeling? And as you know, early on in your contest run, when you got to the final, you didn't have as much emotional connection with the audience as you tell a funny story of those.
You mean as much?
You told a story of those ladies who kind of told you, Darren, I didn't feel anything. And you're like, what? But sometimes we don't realize that our spoken word from our presentation is not just what looks good on paper. And the first mistake many people make is they think what looks good on paper plays out well on the platform. And that's one of the things we want to teach people when we get together and coach them on speaking. You have to realize, what is the audience seeing, hearing, and experiencing, not just what looks good on paper. And we kind of had some fun working through that issue ourselves when I said, you got to write it out so you'll see what it looks like and understand what it means. They're like, no.
Well, that was one thing. On paper. Mine didn't even look good on paper.
Well, it looked good to you, though, Darren.
It looked good to me.
You know, and one of the cool things is that if we are willing to let someone with expertise and experience kind of guide us along the process, it exponentially increases the likelihood of our improving. And more importantly, if we understand the principles behind it, we can then apply that going forward and just be better and better every single day. Now, I coached you, 18 years ago? But as you know, we both still get coaching from people like Patricia Fripp. We still lean on other people to guide us and help us, even as experienced as we are, because we understand the value of coaching. So after 18 years, thank you for driving all that distance to come down to realize your masterpiece we did have some work to do.
We did have some work to do. What was, I think, insightful for me is just that I thought I knew everything. My ego was in my way. And what I learned that day from you is that if you're not coachable, there is no cure. If you're not coachable, no one can help you. Like, we've got to be opened and we've got to be willing. And Mark, what's like another mistake that you see when people are trying to own the stage? They think they're good and they just don't know what to look for. What else would you recommend as a world-class coach?
There's a couple of things. First of all, not only is there the script of your speech, the words you say, it's also your presentation and how you deliver it. So it's really a combination of things that you have to do, both in the written and on stage. Some people, they believe they're on stage and they have to use the entire stage every time. If there's a big stage, I've got to make sure to go way over there and talk. I got to go way over there and talk. If I don't use the whole stage, I'm not being efficient. And, we want people to understand you can actually use your stage as an asset to help you deliver your message. It can help you to tell your stories. You can create scenes and sets by managing your speaking area very, very well. And even if your space is limited, I notice how people can really abuse and misuse their space. So I give one little hint on the physical side to reinforce the fact that good presenting is not just writing a great speech. You can have really cool, wonderful words on paper, but you don't deliver it well in a cohesive manner. And the audience can't, like I said, see the presentation because the way you deliver it confuses them and they can't quite follow your train of thought.
And quick shout out to Corey May is watching us. And
Corey, yeah.
Watching us. If you have questions and you're watching this Facebook Live, please type in the questions. Mark and I are here to answer that so you can ask the coaches. Mark, one of the things that was that you can't figure out on your own. Everyone wants to be great. No one becomes great alone. You had this uncanny ability to ask the right questions, draw out of me the stories. I think as a coach, that's one of your ninja skill sets that you truly have that most people don't. So number one, share with people what you really did, the question you asked me to really find the message that was inside me. And then I have a follow-up question, but I'll just give you one question at a time. So what was that question? Because I would love to tell people, but it was your question and you pulled it out of me. So what's the magical Mark Brown question?
Well, I got to do a quick setup because very often we come to the table with what we believe is our speech. We have an idea for a story, and very often speakers try to get a message to fit into a story, and they're not sure what the message is. Or we have, I like this idea or that idea. I have 4 ideas, but what do I talk about? And I said, Darren, you don't have any kids, but think of a child who is important to you, a child in your life. Put them on the 4th row in that meeting room and speak to them. What message would you give to that child? You have one last chance to deliver that message to the child in your life. What would that one important message be? And I said to you, Darren, don't just write down 2 things. I said, invest some time, go home, think about this, lock yourself in a room, get legal size paper and write down every message you can think of. And the one that will rise to the top, that's the message you'll need to deliver. If you had one last chance to deliver it, what would that be? And I'm curious to know how that impacted you in your message search process.
Well, it forced me to go deeper, which that's what people need to do. A lot of people come to you and me and say, I want to win the speech contest. Yeah. Okay, thank you. What you really want, what's that really message that you have for the world? So what you told me was just reflect on it. So I chose my eldest nephew, Michael, because I only had 2 nephews. I have no children of my own. And when I thought about it, I was like, what would I pass on to him? So you had me write out every lesson I've ever learned. And it was on the 3/4 of the way down the 3rd page that I wrote down, I became a comedian because I was willing to fail. And when you force me to choose one, just one of those lessons, that's all you have time for. I circled that, and willing to fail became the essence of my message. But without that question, I would not have gone deep enough, and I wouldn't have cared enough about the message to make it world class.
See, the thing is, though, what I wanted you to do there was to really consider what was important, not only important to you, but important enough to share. Because I've often heard teachers and coaches say, you've got to find a message with personal passion. I admit, I have taught that as well, but that's only a part of the equation. It has to be a message for which you feel passion, but it is worthy of sharing with the world. Do you recall what I told you about the audience and the time you held that audience, Darren? You have 7 minutes. What did I tell you?
This is a game changer for me. I still ask myself this question every time I take the stage. It puts me in a better mindset. And Mark said, "Oh, doubt it." You have the privilege of 2,000 lives for 7 minutes. What will you do with that? Whoa, that's not about the trophy. That's about, okay, this is a privilege, and you're given this privilege. What are you going to do with that? For people who are Toastmasters, you get to think beyond the contest.
Yeah.
Think of that message that you have to the world, because the same message could be changed or put in a TEDx format for your professional keynote. I mean, Mark, you took what you did in your speeches, and you ended up speaking to 200 schools a year.
That
message about bullying.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you think beyond the moment, then you realize that the value and the scope, the potential scope of your message is astounding. As Darren said, my talk was, I think, 6 minutes and 43 seconds, and I developed it into a program for young people, which I delivered to over 1 million young people, both in Asia and North America, over a 20-year period. Over 1 million kids. And the seed was that 6.5-minute speech I gave back in 1994 for the first time, and ultimately 95 to win the world championship. So when you're going to speak, you have a privilege of the platform, but you also have the power of the platform. And if you're a Toastmaster, whoever gets involved in competition, and you think, okay, there may be 15, 17, 1,800, 2,000 people in the audience live, but there are hundreds of thousands more on demand, and there are millions more who watch the video time and time and time again. And it blows my mind to realize, Darren, that here we are, summer of 2019, and the speech I gave that won the world championship is on YouTube and available, but it was delivered 24 years ago, and people still watch that and comment on the power of the message. So I want you all to think that when you deliver a speech, don't think just one-off, or don't just think contest. Think of the potential you have to literally move millions over a period of time. That's pretty heavy. And that's why I go back to the responsibility of choosing very carefully, what do I have to say? And deliver that passionately, and prepare yourself to do so well. So you have to write a good speech and then deliver a good speech and make it memorable.
Yeah, if you're not excited about your presentation, you're just not going to work hard enough to make it unforgettable. You just can't. It's a lot of work. So for people watching, like, this was the moment. And people around the world, you and I speak to Toastmasters around the world, NSA members, PSA members, and they want the trophy. And this was a beautiful moment. They want that end result. But what brought me the end result, what brought you the end result, was being coached, having somebody who has world-class insights looking into you. And Mark, David Brooks was your coach. You couldn't have done it without him.
No doubt. And the funny thing is, he was also a master at asking me questions to think for myself and to answer those questions by delivering a decent presentation. But you have to understand, you need to not think so much about a trophy if you're a Toastmaster, but always think of the ultimate trophy is the impact you have on the lives of people. And to do that well, you need to deliver a good product.
Yeah, and people who have won the contest, some of them, like, that was it. And they maybe speak part-time or maybe full-time, and some of them aren't presenters. And there's people who come in second or third who are speaking all the time and have huge businesses. It's, you got to think beyond the contest. But anyway, I don't want to make this about the contest. I want to make this about helping people and owning the stage. It's just, I thought I knew what I needed to know, but I had no idea. Like, you can't figure it. You can't learn world-class techniques unless you're learning from somebody who's done that.
And
so people that we've had at our events, what have they said about being coached? David Chase said, getting coached forces you to risk, which ultimately pays off. It is uncomfortable. Like, if you take away the struggle I had with Mark, you take away my growth. And Mark, you kind of alluded to it, but Mark and I were actually at a point where we were like ready to go fist to cuffs. And I was like, no, no, no. Yeah, that was my own ego talking. Gary McKinsey, a friend and fan of ours, said, when I'm coached, I internalize new techniques and the benefits are quick and lasting. David Fritzland said, great coaching expedites the process. Terry Begg, who's been in semifinals many times, says, I have so much more confidence. When you're bouncing off ideas and getting insights from people who maybe at your level or maybe not quite at your level, that feedback is just, it could hurt you rather than help you. This is one of our buddies, Michael Haig. Michael Haig works for Will Smith, helping with scripts in terms of I Am Legend and Hitch. And he really gets storytelling at the Hollywood level. Mark, do you want to mention your thoughts on Michael Haig as a story coach?
Oh, Michael, he is the script consultant to the stars, and he is a story master. I mean, his business is called Story Mastery, and he has told us why stories are important and how to really make them work. He says the purpose of every story is to elicit emotion. The goal of any story is to elicit emotion, because that's where we connect with the audiences. Think of the movies, right? You go to the movies and you can relate to a character. You feel for the guy who's down and out, or somebody who was hurt or abused, and your heart connects with them, and stories can do that. And when your audience is connected to you through your stories, they're that much more receptive to your message and more inclined to respond to what you have to offer them. So, and many speakers, the problem is they will have all the information, all the data, all of the stats, the facts, the figures. I have the information and I'm dying to give you the information. But when the story part is added and the emotional connection is made, then it becomes that much more real, and the experience for the listener becomes completely different.
And real quick, if you want to check out, there's a powerful video on Michael's site, storymastery.com, where you can literally watch him and Will Smith talk about story. It's literally, they're doing an interview kind of like us. If you go to storymastery.com. Mark, while we were chatting, a couple questions came in. Sure. Joe Grondin, I never say his, I know Joe.
From Canada, yeah.
Accredited speaker, Joe, said, great information. Any tips on how to wordsmith a great speech? Mark, that's your area, not mine.
On how to wordsmith a great speech?
Yes.
Is a fine line here, Joe. Again, very often what looks good on paper is a great read. But when you say it, it sounds almost pretentious, overly academic. We're overdoing it. The words should have power to move the emotions, paint the pictures, and sometimes less is more. Why use 12 words when you can use 4? So it's finding the right word to portray the image, the idea, the emotion, the message, the description, without becoming overly wordy. And at the same time, you want to try and keep it conversational. So ask yourself, when you write a phrase, a sentence out, or a paragraph, ask yourself, if I were with my friends over coffee, would I really say it that way? How would I really say it? And when it becomes conversational, then again, the audience is relaxed. They don't feel I'm being lectured to or talked at. They feel as if, hey, we're having a little dialogue. This is cool. And then, so the word specific is not just finding the right big word. It's finding the most effective word within your personality and character that lets the audience know authentic you is delivering it. You simply aren't copying words from a great writer like Darren LaCroix. All right. And I hope it answers your question, Joe, in some sense. Okay. But you want to make sure the words portray the image. It has to be congruent, but how would I say it with my personality, my style, the way I speak? Because the way I say it and the way Darren might say it might be different. So we'll say the same thing in different ways because that's by our different personalities.
Mark, this wasn't planned, Mark, but because you went there, now I have to share this. And because of the question. So talking about delivery, the Mark Brown from his, I was digging this up in the background when we were talking.
Is there someone out there, someone in your workplace, someone in your neighborhood, someone in your home who has heard your beast roar?
You have to get a roar in there.
Yeah, I had to get a roar. And by the way, I think Toastmasters hired Steven Spielberg to colorize the video. Yeah. Were we sharing?
I hope we answer you. I see a blue screen says example. I hope I answered Joe's question at least. I hope I did. And Joe's a good guy, very experienced speaker as well. Thanks for the question, Joe. We appreciate it. Oh, you got the video. Now you got the video.
Oh, man, hold on. I don't know why it's doing this. And
it's saying don't show the video, Darren.
What's that?
It's saying don't show the video. That's what it's doing. It's saying don't show the video.
Oh man, why is it resuming? Oh,
because it doesn't want you to show the video, Darren. That's what it is. It says move on.
It says move on.
We have fun together. You know that, right?
Yes. And by the way, Corey May said, you guys have great chemistry. It's only been 18 years. And after you have a fight with somebody, it's easy.
Thanks, Corey. We appreciate you. I know you're also an experienced Toastmaster and you've done some competition as well. And I encourage you to keep doing what you do, Corey. Really, that's powerful.
Don't get me wrong.
All right. So, Mark, because the question was about alliteration in writing, I thought this was a great example.
Don't get me wrong. Movie is great for children. The music, the magic, the mystery. But the message is important for all of us. To appreciate their circumstance, she dressed as they dressed. She walked as they walked. She lived as they lived for several days. Some looked right at her and yet right past her. Others looked right through her as they thought, homeless, useless, worthless.
All right, Mark, I thought you didn't just sit down over coffee and come up with that wording. Come on.
No.
But it's beautiful. How did that happen? Because I think that's the question.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, the process is, look, first of all, you don't want to always have the big fancy words, but there are times when rhyme, alliteration can be useful tools to reinforce the message. So early on, I chose music, magic, mystery. It was kids. It was a Disney film. That personifies what Disney offers. But beyond all of that, I had to have a message. So it was the music, the magic, the mystery, but the message is important. And I thought that was key. So I found words that portray the essence of a Disney film. Music, magic, and mystery that personifies Disney. It was great, but I had to deliver a message. So that's how I came up with the 4 M's in that particular part.
So you realized what you were trying to get across and you sat down to wordsmith it.
Yes. And I will confess, education runs 5 generations deep in my family. And growing up with a teacher in the house, very often teachers use rhyme and they use alliteration as methods for us to remember certain things. And there are times, even to this day, where Darren and I will go to a website called rhymer.com just to find words that rhyme and they'll fit in rhythmically in your presentation. Because, bonus, do you know that speaking has rhythm to it? Oh, yes, it does. We can discuss that some other time. In addition, as far as finding words that are alliterative or words that mean the same, Darren often preaches to our clients, go to thesaurus.com and find words that may be similar in meaning, and you may find some that begin at the same letter to get alliteration, or you may find some that rhyme. So these are simple online tools. Rhymer.com, HRHYMER, and thesaurus.com, THESAURUS.com, as tools help you find words to wordsmith your speech, and that also presupposes that you write a script. Some speakers don't like the idea of scripts, and they tell you, I can wing the whole thing every single time. And honestly, that was kind of how Darren and I got together first. He said, I don't need a script, man. Script, I don't need no sticky. Right? So, but the script allows you to use those words and choose them carefully for effect. Similarly, in the other two clips, I talked about some looked right at her and yet right past her. Others looked right through her as they thought, homeless, useless, worthless. That homeless, useless, worthless was also not spontaneous. I thought about that before I did it. And the idea of seeing someone on the street homeless and our attitudes toward them, we almost ignore it. We looked right at them, but yet we looked right past them. And sometimes we look right through them because we're so busy with our mind on other things. And I realized that's what we do. I said, oh, they look at her, past her, through her. A nice rhythm to it. And then homeless, useless, worthless, that was the same kind of rhyme to it. Oh, awesome. But none of that was spontaneous. That was Wordsmith. And the goal was, how can I find words to portray the attitudes that we have, the emotions that we share, but also create some rhythm and rhyme to it. That took some work. And I wouldn't have done that spontaneously had I not been coached by David Brooks to make sure the audience could experience the presentation, not just hear the words of the presentation.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, but I mean, getting coached is the fastest way to own the stage. You can figure it out. You can take classes and courses, which we offer. Love to help you, but honestly, getting coached is really the quickest way. Again, love what Michael Haig said about this. One of the reasons we're doing this is just to let you know, hey, Mark and I are doing an event with Michael Haig. So 3 of us, getcoachtospeak.com, coming up July 10th and 11th. If you want to join us, we'd love to have you. You can join us live or virtually. And if you do it either way, you get the recordings as well. But you're going to watch us work with, right now we have 3 VIPs, so there's 2 open slots. Now, I'm not going to write this down anywhere, but if you're watching this video, I'm going to give you a half-off code just because you watched this long. So, by the way, the price goes up on Sunday. So, Master, M-A-S-T-E-R, 50, all caps. Master 50, only because you watched the video this long. I'm not going to post it anywhere. But join us live or virtual. Go to getcoachtospeak.com. And we have so much fun. Look, we teach you everything we learned in a decade in this 20-minute format. If we could, just can't. But to watch live coaching, it's super insightful. I had never seen it before. So get qualified feedback. Join us for this event. Mark, any thoughts?
Man, I get to go to Vegas, man. I get to go to Vegas to hang out with my buddy. And I would encourage you, if you have a thought about how to improve your presenting style and to do so quickly and effectively, I highly recommend you join us. I appreciate Darren offering a massive discount. You can be there virtually and participate. You can get to ask questions. You can be involved virtually and not have to fly there. But this really is an opportunity to learn the things that we teach individuals, to see us do it live, and to also walk away with great tools that you can apply immediately in your own speaking. I mean, we can't begin to go through our checklist. Our checklist is so huge, we can only mention to you, that's a real tool you want to get hold of. You want to find out more, come join us.
If you'd prefer just doing one-on-one coaching, I don't do that, but Mark does. You can go to getaspeakingcoach.com. And if you'd rather just learn online as you go, you can check out stagetimeuniversity.com. Or we help you, and we have live calls with Mark and me. So join us for that if you're interested. Hope watching this live helped you, give you some new insights. Please pass this along to your friends to give them some insights as well. Mark Brown, thanks for taking a few minutes out of your coaching schedule and your personal life to help other people see what the potential really is. You just can't become great alone. And Mark, if you could tell the story of 1994 when you were in the World Championship and you didn't place, what happened? Who approached you after that?
This is a testimony to what Darren's talking about. I had been in the 1994 World Championship, very green speaker. I did not place. And I had my family with me. My son, Joel, was 7 years old. He was in my lap crying his eyes out in the fourth row. The room was empty and he was crying. And someone walked into my life named David Brooks, who's a 1990 world champion. I'd heard of him and he was like a god to me, you know, and he said to me, you have potential. If you're willing, I'd love to help you. Here's my card. And he gave me a business card and said, call me. And he was gone. That's Saturday morning after the contest. I get home Sunday, I drop my bags, I pick up the phone, and I dial David Brooks. I said, David Brooks, please. He said, hello. I said, is this David? He said, yes. I said, David, Mark Brown, do you remember me? He said, Mark, I met you yesterday. I said, you promised to help me. Will you? And he said, yes. And he began to mentor me long distance, old school, by phone and fax from Austin, Texas, to my home in Mount Vernon, New York at the time. And he coached me through the entire process. I became a different speaker in a year. And in 1995, I went back to that state and won the world championship. But I learned along the way a very important and what could have been a painful truth. See, there are 9 finalists back then and only 1 champion. And David had offered his services not only to me, but other finalists who had not won. But here's the thing. I was the only one who said yes. And I was the only finalist that year to return to the world championship stage. And I eventually won that championship. I was the only one who said yes to an opportunity to get coached by the best of the best. He was qualified. He had won it. And he gave me a chance to win it. Here's the cool part. Darren has won it. I have won it. And we have partnered with the guy who tells Will Smith what to do when he wants to write a good movie. So you think, without me bragging, do you think we might be qualified to coach you? We offer that, and we offer this program half off. We really want to help you to be unforgettable on stage. So really, come join us July 10th and 11th, Las Vegas live or virtually, to be a part of this really cool program. Get coached to speak. We'd love to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My coach, my friend, my brother, Mark Brown. Always love working with you. And I love that Corey said that we have a great chemistry, because truly I have so much fun with you. So to help people have fun and help them help their audience connect more deeply, tell their story in a way that's more digestible to the audience. That truly is a privilege. So if you join us July 10th and 11th, know that Mark and I come in with the mindset, oh, Darren and Mark, you have the privilege of 25 lives for 2 days. What will you do with that? Well, we will rock your world, and you'll never look at presentations again the same way, guaranteed. Mark, final thoughts.
I love it. Going to have some fun. We're going to help so many people. We want you to be a part of it, and we're excited about this. We can't wait to be with you July 10th and 11th in Las Vegas or online.
Check it out, getcoachtospeak.com, and use the discount code MASTER, MASTER 50, all caps. Remember, the price goes up on Sunday, so you get half off. You get half off of a lower price if you do it this weekend. See ya.
Bye.